Guys, you know what? Let's go ahead and get started. Appreciate everybody being here. We've got another great DMI University webinar today. I'm especially excited about this one because, last week we talked about the income conversation and how important that is, particularly in the environment we're dealing with right now, economically speaking. Um, I think Eric Lindewall has got a great presentation around, how to have the sequence of returns conversation. Uh, Such an important conversation, particularly today. So I want to get to this as quickly as possible, but just want to let everybody know here that, as we go through this, you can ask questions through our Q&A or chat function. And then at the end of the webinar, Courtney Tosone will field those questions along with Eric and myself. And I think this should be a really good one. And feel free to ask anything. We're here to help. And I'm excited to hear more from Eric. If you guys don't know Eric, he is an industry veteran with 30 years of experience, including over 20 years as an external annuity wholesaler. And he's worked with financial advisors in all major distribution channels. He's been a sales leader. He's been a management leader. He's pretty much done it all. So I just want to hand things off to Eric and let you get started. Eric, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. And
I
I'll just
appreciate
hand it off
that,
to you.
Ken. Thanks so much. And good afternoon or good morning, everyone. And I appreciate you taking the time to join us today. I'm excited to talk about this topic that I think is as important today as any topic that we can discuss. And it's really an important thing for your clients to understand, what the impact of sequence of returns risk can have on their retirement distribution strategy. Before we dive in, and we're just going to give you some examples of what the risk is, and really kind of try to help you understand or help you have ways to have clients understand what this risk is. So as they transition from the accumulation phase into the distribution phase, they're well equipped to make appropriate allocation decisions to try to mitigate this risk as best they can. Before we dive into the meat and potatoes of the presentation, really just want to talk a little bit about the psychology of investing through one's investment life cycle. We're always educated, and we're always beaten over the head during the accumulation phase that it's important to be patient. You don't celebrate too much when the markets are doing great, and you don't panic or react when the markets are doing poorly. Simply put, as we're accumulating, we're told, and rightfully so, that we should wait out the lows in the markets, and when the market recovers, we're going to be okay. Everything will work out. And simply put, it's usually the case. So the challenge is that we spend an entire accumulation lifetime with that mindset, and then we transition into retirement. And we absolutely cannot have that same mindset about being patient during down markets when we're simultaneously taking distributions from our nest egg. Simply put, the biggest risk to the success or failure of one's retirement distribution plan really is the sequence at which they receive their returns in distribution. So as much as being very patient when you're in accumulation is an appropriate play, the order at which you receive your returns on an annual basis in distribution can have a profound impact on whether your money lasts a lifetime or not. So we're going to go through just an example of sequence of return scenarios during accumulation, and then run that same exact sequence of return scenario with distribution, and really illustrate to you how important the sequence at which you receive returns and distribution is to one's overall success. So again, the idea here is to make sure that folks understand the rules are different in distribution. For a lot of years, we would get to retirement and, we'd have maybe a pension and Social Security and I don't know, maybe $500,000 saved. And the old adage used to be you could take out about 5% a year. and you're probably going to be okay if you were in a diversified portfolio. And, that distribution percentage or sustainable distribution percentage has come down over the years, but that was the mindset for a lot of years, a lot of decades. And it really didn't work. If we start to take a systematic distribution in a down market, run a freight train to zero. So let's talk about why sequence of returns matters. What we're looking at here is a client that is accumulating. So they start with $100,000. And over a 25-year period, each of these investors are going to average about 8%. But what you will notice, if you look at the annual returns year to year, is there are times when investor A was having awful years and investor B was having great years, and vice versa. So their returns were very different on a year-to-year basis. But when they got to the finish line, they both averaged 8%. And they arrived at the same exact place, at the same exact time, with the same exact amount of money. Simply put, the sequence that they received their returns in had no impact on their ultimate success at the end of this 25 years. This is that mindset that we have drilled into us during accumulation. Be patient, wait out the highs and lows, and everything will be fine. So this client put in $100,000 and they ended up with $691,000 after 25 years. So now at age 65, they're going to retire. And we'll go to the next page. Now what we're looking at here are these same two investors starting with that $691,000 and taking out the same withdrawal adjusted for inflation. In fact, the only difference between these two investors is that investor A had the misfortune of retiring at the beginning of a down cycle in the market. Investor B was lucky enough to begin retirement in an up market. So again, to repeat, they're starting with the same exact amount of money, taking the same withdrawal, and experiencing, quite frankly, the same average annual return. But the sequence of the annual returns are basically just inverted. If you take a look at what we've done with these returns here, we've just flip-flopped the order at which they were received, right? So you'll notice that investor B had a wonderful retirement. Their income was predictable, sustainable, and actually grew throughout the course of their retirement lifetime. And their balance continue to grow. In fact, by age 90, they had over $2.4 million still in their account and have been taking out a substantial and growing income for all of those years in retirement. Now, investor A had the misfortune of beginning the exact same distribution plan in the midst of a down cycle in the market. And you will notice that by age 81, the party was over. That client ran out of money and was no longer able to take distributions. So this one particular slide is a great visual to help folks understand the importance of sequence of return risk and how it could have a profound impact on the ultimate success or failure of your retirement income distribution plan. Now, this is the math. Let's talk about the reality. The reality is that if portfolio A or client A was experiencing this type of situation in the early years of their distribution plan, they wouldn't continue to take out $37,000, $38,000, $40,000 a year, because they would recognize that their money wasn't going to last. So what this client would most likely have had to do was dramatically reduce their withdrawals, reflective of their new balance reality. And simply put, that's what folks did. They did it in 2008, 2009, when we had the financial crisis. They'll do it hopefully again here if this market continues to do what it's doing. It is a ticking time bomb, folks. So if I'm 3 or 4 years into retirement And this withdrawal was the final piece that kind of tied my whole retirement together. I'd have to make some pretty dramatic lifestyle changes. I'd have to reduce my standard of living. I might have to go back to work part-time to replace the income that I could no longer take from my nest egg. It's a little bit crude, but Portfolio A is the hurry up and die retirement plan. It really is. And so if we understand this concept and we're able to clearly articulate this risk to clients, they're going to be more open to hearing about solutions that can help mitigate this risk and help give them some guarantees with respect to the length, predictability, and sustainability of their retirement income. I like to tell a story, and this is absolutely a true story. Back in 2009, the face of sequence of returns risks lives in every big box store in America, your Home Depots, your Walmarts, your Lowe's. In 2009, give or take, it was a Friday night, and I was at a Home Depot with my wife, and we were buying a new barbecue because ours had sung its last song. And so we were asking questions of one of the employees there, differences between Grill A and Grill B, and we made our selection, and he went off into the back to get the grill, and I had a little smile on my face, and my wife said, "Why are you smiling? He was a great guy. He seems like a nice guy." I said, "Oh, he's a fantastic guy. He's also the face of sequence of return risk," because the gentleman that was helping us was in his early 70s. Now, if you go through any big box store in America, even today, don't go through on a Friday night like I did or a Saturday morning. Walk through at 10:30 on a Tuesday morning and take a mental census of who's working there. I promise you 15 to 20% of the folks in that building are retirement age. Now, many of them are there because they want to be, but a lot of them are there because they have to be. That's the real face of sequence of return risk. Now, why is this important now? Well, I think that everybody on the webinar knows. We are 12 years into a bull market. There are still a lot of built up gains in the market. If anyone has been investing for a long time, although this year has been a little difficult, it's still been a great place to be. But, markets don't go up forever. We have the largest generation in the history of mankind transitioning into retirement, the baby boomers. And the baby boomers have been the generation that is really focused, or has been really focused, on investing. They're the folks with the be patient, be aggressive, and don't react to down markets. We absolutely have a moral obligation to help folks understand, given what's going on in the market today, what sequence of return risk is and how it could dramatically impact their retirement. The good news is that there are tools to help mitigate the risk. Now, we're not saying that you should put all of one's money in a guaranteed lifetime income annuity. That's certainly not the case. But I think retirement income planning can be very complicated, or it can be very easy. I think it really comes down to two numbers, and they're not even expressed in numerical terms. I think everyone's retirement income plan has to do with want to have retirement income and got to have retirement income. The want to have number is our hopes, goals, and dreams. We all have a picturesque, idyllic version of what retirement means to us. And there's a number associated with what we would have to have for income to fund that ideal retirement. The got to have number is the amount of income you've got to have on a monthly or annual basis to take care of essential expenses. Right? So, there are certain expenses that don't care about how the market's doing. They don't care about world events. They don't care about the economy. They care about one thing: getting paid. And so when you sit down with some of your clients and you do an analysis of what their retirement income need is, certainly find out what their want to have number is. But we want to take steps to make sure that their got to have number is completely guaranteed. We'll always be there. We'll never go down. We'll never run out, no matter how long they live, no matter what happens in the market. And like I said, the good news is there are solutions that can take care of that. So sequence of return risk can be really complicated, or it can be really easy. And this piece that we're looking at here today, we're happy to share this with you, and it'll help you craft that conversation with your clients. Folks, I encourage you to have these conversations with your pre-retirees. And there's some great questions that you can ask to get this conversation started. I think one of the best questions you could ever ask someone is very open-ended and very simple. Mr. and Mrs. Client, tell me about your retirement distribution plan. And then don't say a word. Most people have no idea what their retirement distribution plan is. Well, I'm going to retire and I'm going to take Social Security, and I've got this IRA. I've been saving money my whole life, and I'll just take withdrawals from that. Okay, well, what steps have you taken? Here's question 2. What steps have you taken to guarantee that your retirement income that you're taking from your savings will last a lifetime, regardless of how long you live and regardless of how the market does? What steps have you taken? And then the next one to talk loses. I promise you, 80% of the people that you ask that question of will not have an answer. They will, however, have a new concern because they'll realize that they haven't taken any steps to address this risk. So again, very open-ended. Tell me what your retirement income distribution plan is, and what steps have you taken to guarantee that your retirement income is guaranteed to last a lifetime, no matter how long you live, no matter how the market does. Those 2 questions will be a great springboard into having a conversation about sequence of returns. Now, we're not trying to scare people. We're not trying to make people feel uncomfortable, but rather we really feel it's important that people understand what this risk is, especially where we are now in the market. Especially now, because folks, the biggest transition from accumulation to distribution is happening right now and will be happening for the next 10 years. It's important that you become fluent and comfortable and, quite frankly, an expert in ways to set up retirement income distribution plans that have some airbags, that have protection, that are guaranteed to last a lifetime. The advisors and agents that can clearly articulate this risk and clearly help folks understand the importance of mitigating this risk stand to do very, very well in helping folks deal with this. So with that, Courtney, why don't we open it up for any questions, and we'll dig in from there.
Sure, we have one already. The first one is, what about using an income rider? Can that be a good solution, or using a SPIA?
And C, all of the above. What I would say with immediate annuities, with SPIAs right now, rates and payouts have gone up a bit. What we've found in the industry here for folks that are sort of retirement age, the younger folks, late 60s, early 70s, is products with income riders that are not annuitized. So the lifetime income riders are actually providing higher levels of income than SPIAs for those younger folks, right? And they don't have to give up control of their principal. So that is, quite frankly, the most common solution that we use in trying to address sequence of return risk is guaranteed lifetime income riders on indexed annuities. Now, here's the good news. Here's the good news. Many of you folks may have noticed over the last number of months that the specs and rates in that product space have gone through the roof. Simply put, there has never been a product environment as robust as we see right now in the indexed annuity space. Rates are at all-time highs. Product specs and features have never been more robust. So the good news is there are amazing, once-in-a-lifetime solutions available now to help address this risk. Great question.
Perfect. And then the next one is I have VAs on the books that have income riders. Are there better alternatives?
Potentially. So now you're in my wheelhouse now, whoever asked that question. So thank you very much. You know, VAs were a part of my life for 20 plus years as an external wholesaler in that space. So, you know, variable annuity income riders work much like the income riders on the indexed annuity front. Here's the rub with variable annuity riders. When you've got a VA with an income rider, the all-in costs on those products, generally speaking, are between 3 and as high as 4.5%. That's mortality and risk expense charges of the contract, that's sub-account internal expenses, and then the rider cost, right? So you've got incredible fee drag on those products. The riders are good, right? What I will tell you is in the current landscape today, indexed annuities with a rider can generally provide higher guaranteed lifetime income, substantially lower expenses, about 75% lower, and absolutely no risk to principal. So for old VAs, we actually have a program where we'll do what we call a VA review. We'll take a look at the contract, what the current guaranteed lifetime income is, compare what it might be when the client would turn it on, and basically see if there's a better deal. Now, we don't always recommend moving them. Basically, the math has to work. We let the math drive the process. If it's mathematically a good deal for the client, great. If it isn't, then we leave it alone. I will tell you that it would have been better to review them 6 months ago before this market correction, but there's still probably an opportunity for some enhancement. Great question.
All right, and then we have one more. Do you recommend a product that is level income stream or COLA income stream?
Boy, that's a personal decision. So what I would tell you is that we do both. Most main solutions that we're utilizing have a number of different options. There's level income that's going to create your, typically speaking, your highest level of contractually guaranteed income. There are some earnings indexed income options or some inflation indexed options. Typically, with those, you're starting out at a lower level of contractually guaranteed income with the opportunity for increases. What I would tell you is this: because participation rates in most index annuities are so incredibly high right now, there's a real chance that index performance and credited interest can drive up the income even on level payouts. So, you know, accepting a lower contractual guarantee for a COLA type product, you might not have to do that because rates are so high. You can get that higher contractual guarantee and still have at least a puncher's chance of getting some raises. But we look at all those options. Every situation is different. You know, at DMI, we don't have favorite products, and we really try to look at each case individually on its own merits. You know, I like to say each income planning case and each income planning client is as unique as their own DNA. You know, we could have, you know, twin sisters with the exact same amount of money, and one is going to retire in 4 years and one's going to retire in 7 years. The recommendation might be a different product. You know, it's that unique.
And then we have a few more. Are there fixed indexed? Are there fixed annuities with income riders?
There are a few out there. There are a few. To be completely blunt, it's not a space that I've noticed my advisors that I work with are playing in. And the reason why is the, you know, the upside on the fixed annuities, although those rates have gone up, on true fixed annuities really can't compare to the indexed annuities. So you're really giving the client, you know, virtually no opportunity to have any principal maintenance or even principal growth over the distribution lifetime. But certainly what I can tell you is the product landscape is evolving almost on a daily basis, in particular with the fixed annuity space. So for whoever asked that question, if that's something that you'd like to explore, I'm happy to do some research on it and find out if there's a decent story out there. But when you take a look at an indexed annuity, you're going to have a hard time not using it.
All right, and then we have one more. What's usually the time period to move an existing FIA as a replacement?
Well, I mean, at the very least, we believe it needs to be out of surrender charge. We don't want to have any negative impact on the client to move that. Provided that's the case, then we'll evaluate what the value proposition of the existing annuity is, and what the rates are, or if it's a particularly old annuity, it probably has a cap, right? And we'll compare that to what's available for new products. And again, make a value proposition judgment. Is the new product, does what it brings to the table warrant going into a new surrender charge period for the client? But yeah, I mean, there are products out there where there's short of 3 or 5 year surrender charges, a lot of 7s, a lot of 10s. We really want the product to be out of surrender, or quite frankly, in the last year or two of the surrender charge period. Again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but we let the math drive the process here. Stories can be told. I have an old saying: wholesalers lie, mathematics do not. Right? So math is absolute. If the math makes sense, we can make a case for it.
All right, that's all the questions. Does anyone have any final questions for Eric?
Thanks. Well, I'll wrap with this before I kick it back to you, Glenn. Folks, we appreciate the opportunity to chat with you today. We like to keep these webinars brief and to the point. So I hope that you found this informational. I hope that you found this information useful. At DMI, we're here to help. Our sole focus is to help you all grow your business, but most importantly, do a better job for your clients and put your clients in a better situation than they're in today. So on a personal basis, I hope to be able to speak with each and every one of you regarding this. If you'd like this content, if you would like to receive this information that you could use and craft as your own, reach out to me. You'll be getting some communication with DMI's contact information and my contact information. I would love an opportunity to chat with each and every one of you to dig in on this and the other important issues that are front of mind with your clients. Glenn?
Hey, thank you so much, Eric. Fantastic. Again, there's a lot of great interest. We even had another question come in. And
Sure.
it's a good point. We do actually have a PowerPoint with some notes available. So why don't we do this? If I'll give you guys a phone number that you can call where you can get that document, and then also the document that Eric provided today. And then also, if you have any questions that you want to ask Eric, if you want to get in touch with him directly, you can use this number as well. Here, I'm just going to share this on the screen with everybody. So call 781-919-2337. 781-919-2337. If you like, take a screen grab of this image. So one, we've got a PowerPoint presentation we can provide you. We've got the sequence of return flyer that Eric was talking about. We have access to Eric. Feel free to reach out to us for any of these things. We will also make a recording of the presentation today available. So if you're on this webinar, you will receive an email within the next 24 to 48 hours with that recording. But yeah, for the content, be sure to reach out and you'll get helped immediately. But Eric, thanks again so much. And everybody on the call, thank you for participating. Great presentation today. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Be well. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much, Eric.